in a comment recently, or in a post, you had mentioned that Nipsey Hussle's music, because you know Nipsey Hussle just recently passed away, that his music helped you get through 10 years in prison. Can you talk about that a little?
I hit the main line, I want to say 2006 or 7. And there was this rap channel on BT that used to come out. I forgot the name of it. It wasn't The Basement though. But it was I think it was fuck, I don't know, but it would really work in the streets with unsigned artists. And Nipsey had a skit on there where he was doing a freestyle like in a room, you know, in his neighborhood somewhere recording. And that was the first time I saw him, and I really gravitated to his lyricism. And but he didn't have no mixtapes out at the time. And then one day I woke up and on BT in my cell, he dropped that song "Hustle in the House," you know.
Yeah.
And when I saw that video, that was it. I was hooked, you know. And after that, from his Bullets Ain't Got No Names, Volume 1, 2, 3, we were able to order the mixtapes through the catalogs. And after that, fucking every album that he had was he was growing a lot. He was maturing at the same pace that I was, literally. Like the shit that he was going through at the beginning of my time, I was super thugged out, and you know, just it was all about the hood and shit. And I started maturing like almost at the same time that he was doing it lyrically, you know, in his music. Okay. So it was really like a growth, a mutual growth, and it helped me literally, because that's all I would listen to was Nipsey when I was busted. Like it was Nipsey and Pac, you know what I'm saying? Always them two, but Nipsey, yeah, that was the soundtrack to my 10 years in prison. And even when I got out, this time, he was already working on the Victory Lap. You know what I'm saying? But he was dropping other mixtapes like Slots and Boys 2. And it was just, it was almost like a mutual growth, you know, like the shit he was going through, the things he was doing. Obviously, he was way more successful than I was when he was out here. But it was somebody doing something that I've always wanted to do, you know what I'm saying? In the same fashion, always representing his neighborhood, always making sure that he gave credit where it was due, you know what I'm saying? And trying to empower his people. But yeah, during prison though, like every workout I did, every basketball game I had, every time I was in the cell, I was bumping his shit, you know what I mean? So I felt like I lost a friend, you know what I'm saying? Somebody that I lived so many years with, hearing his voice in my ear all the time, you know? It's like when we had Pac growing up. Right. We lost a big brother, you feel me? It was the same shit. Like, you know what I mean? It was a bond to the music and the lyrical content. Him as a person that really, like, it really touched me, you know what I'm saying? Like it really yeah, it really hit home, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it seems like he was doing all the right things, you know, giving jobs to people and who probably didn't really have many opportunities to get jobs. And, you know, it's just all around sad situation about what happened.
It's the streets, though. It's a reflection of the environment we live in, though, you know? It's the most real, I think, it's the most raw and real, how do you say it, man? Example of the environment that we live in, you know what I'm saying? Like, I say that to say this, like, you know, the negativity in our communities and our cultures are heavy, meaning that it doesn't take much for somebody to hate you because a lot of people have so little to live for. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the littlest things from even confidence can make the next man hate you because a lot of people lack confidence in our communities. You know what I'm saying? Happiness is a commodity too that somebody could be jealous for you from. A lot of people are unhappy in our communities. So it just goes to show that the environment that we live in doesn't necessarily create a happy environment and a positive environment. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like it's a prime example that negativity is created by the environment that you live in, you know what I'm saying, the lifestyle that you have. You don't see motherfuckers in Mission Viejo walking up on independent artists and shooting them in their driveway. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to see that shit. You're not going to see it in many communities that are well off, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's a message to the streets that there has to be more than just like job opportunities. Like there has to be hope put into the streets, you know what I'm saying? There has to be hope and positive energy put into the communities too, you know what I'm saying? Because there's just so much negative shit. So it creates a dangerous environment, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could have all the love in the world. It only takes one hater. That's it.
That's it. and hate is a deeply rooted thing. It comes from a lot of situations, you know what I'm saying? Man, I don't know, you know? It's just an eye opener, you know what I mean? I think, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Does
sad.
it make you think different about how you want to move around and
yeah,
everything?
I think, well, yeah, fuck yeah, most definitely. Shit, my paranoia is fucking 200% past to where it normally was, you know? Fuck yeah, definitely, because you know, as you grow in this music shit, right? And you tend to find a little bit of success, you know? Because we're barely getting a taste of it. I'm barely getting a taste of it, right? You can't help but to think to yourself, like, fuck, like, you know, it'd be dope to bring my people with me, you know? And then be dope to, like, reach out to the community and the people, my culture, you know what I'm saying? But you got to always understand that just because you're in a good place doesn't mean everybody else is. And what I mean by good place is mentally and spiritually, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just because you're in a positive environment, things are going well for you, doesn't mean that the next man isn't in a fucking rut, you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that the devil's not at full work in his life, you know what I'm saying? Because blessings obviously come from God, and your sorrow comes from, I mean, whatever it is, but it's always going to be a negative environment, you know what I'm saying? The devil is going to exploit that shit, you know what I mean, and use it to his ability. So you always got to keep that in mind, that just because you're in a good place doesn't mean that everybody else is, you know what I'm saying? So you got to always move with the perspective that there is evil around the corner, you know what I'm saying? At all fucking times, you know what I mean? Which is, I mean, I feel like Nipsey knew this, but I think that he underestimated how blessed he was, you know what I'm saying? And how really, like, motherfuckers want to take that from him, you know what I'm saying? Hated him for it, you know what I mean? Which is sad, but it's the truth, you know what I mean?
I think a lot of people are just surprised that, you know, nobody had a gun, you know?
Yeah.
But
that's due to law enforcement's harassment, you know? Law enforcement, all they saw when they saw Nipsey was a gang member that was fucking being rebellious towards everything that the community tries to, well, not the community I want to say, but the streets try to tell you, and law enforcement tries to tell you that you can never make it. You know what I'm saying? So all they saw was a gang member being rebellious and dropping out of high school and still being a successful businessman, still being a successful independent rapper, and still staying in his community. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So what the cops did off top was like, this has to be illegal. That fool gotta have birds in his store. That fool gotta be doing something illegal to make this shit happen. They couldn't believe what he was doing, so they were constantly trying to raid the man and constantly trying to catch him doing something illegal. So therefore, they put him in a vulnerable position because he was trying to do something good and knew the environment that he was in, but he wasn't able to protect himself from that environment due to the constant harassment of law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? And you would think that if the law enforcement felt like he was such a threat and the shit that he was doing there was so tapped into the streets, then why wasn't there a fucking cop present at that location at all times? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if you're so heavily consumed by the fact that this man is doing illegal shit and all that shit, instead of constantly trying to make him the bad guy, why wouldn't you try and protect him if he's doing so much good in the community? You feel what I'm saying? The fucking mayor don't walk around the city without a fucking barricade of cops. You know what I'm saying? And he's not doing the community what Nipsey was doing. You feel what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's just a prime example of how the law works. It only works to knock us off our pedestal, you know what I'm saying, when we have one. You know what I mean? It doesn't work to protect us, but then they get mad when we protect ourselves. So what law do we run to, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're vulnerable. We're in a vulnerable state, you know what I mean? Yeah. And this man went against his own morals and tried to live by the law, and it backfired on him. And that's what happens, you know what I'm saying? That's what happens in a lot of cases, though.
Yeah. The good thing that came, a lot of people came together. You know, it seemed like hopefully it stopped a lot of violence. I mean, you know, unfortunately something like that had to happen. So, I mean, those were the good things. I think you were out there supporting.
Yeah, I was out there. Yeah, most definitely. I had to. I felt like I represent LA as far as like my music, you know what I mean? I'm one of the rappers at the forefront that represents the hood, you know what I mean? That represents the culture the way I do. So I felt like I had to be out there. And then as a fan of the band's body of work, like I wanted to be out there, you know what I'm saying? Because we didn't get to do that for Pac, you feel me? We didn't get to have an event like that for Pac. So I wasn't gonna miss this, you know what I mean? We didn't really get to give Pac his farewell like this. So, you know, I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it big, you know what I'm saying? And let it be known that I was out there. I don't really give a fuck about people talking about color lines and black and brown and should I be out there? Like, I don't give a fuck about that shit. You know what I mean? To me, Nipsey was a prime example of a man, you know? And I salute that shit, you know what I mean? I respect that, you know what I mean? So I had to be out there.
Well, that's what's up.
Yeah, most
That's
definitely.
what's up, man. That's you know, good to see a lot of people out there and everything.
Yeah, it was all love. All love. Like, there wasn't many of us. Like, what I mean by us is like bald-headed, you know, cholo dudes like myself out there.
Yeah.
But the ones that were out there, we got nothing but warm embrace from the black community, you know? I was in the heart of South Central. Shit, I was in the heart of Inglewood. I even ended up in the projects that night. The Jordan Downs, you know what I'm saying? And all love. All love, like just tremendous amount of love and respect and just welcoming, man, you know what I'm saying? It was dope, you know what I mean? I never seen nothing like that. I never experienced nothing like that, but I'm glad I was able to be there presently, you know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Yeah, it was definitely dope. It was a good time to be around. Something to see with your own eyes.